The best way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Joka has that to say. Time is precious, time is money, and this is the time for Money Talk on Atlantic Television Network. Good day, viewers, and welcome to a fresh episode of Atn Business on Atlantic Television Network, right here in the city of Port Harcourt. This is the network's medium of bringing the happenings in the economy sector of society to our discerning viewers. This program is aimed at bringing the doorstep of viewers the business, financial and economic activities from all strata of society. Its delivery is accentuated through the various stock exchanges across the world, news about government economic activities, private sector business activities, laced with experts' opinions, stakeholders' analyses and correspondence reports. Let's take a look at the headlines now. By the end of this show, you can be rest assured of being informed accurately of financial activities around the world. I am Victor Peter. We take a short break, and when we return, we reel out the details. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and now let's go into market reports, local and international business news for today. Lagos State government has vowed to ensure all ongoing housing projects are built to the best standards and will be completed during the current administration. The Lagos State Commissioner for Housing, Moruf Akinderolu Fatai, who disclosed these when he led the technical team of the ministry on a tour of the ongoing Lagos Homes housing project at Ajara in Badagry, recently said the state government will increase the quantum of quality and decent homes available to the citizens of Lagos State, particularly the low and medium income earners. While inspecting the 420 home units in 35 blocks of various categories of flats and interacting with contractors on site, he expressed his satisfaction with the quality and speed exhibited towards the delivery of the project, and also informed the contractor to escalate any identified challenge for immediate solution. He said the Lagos Homes project at Ajara Badagry have been designed to take care of the home needs of the people of Lagos State along the Lagos West Senatorial District of the state. Draft legislative bill seeking to protect Nigeria's raw materials processing and local production has passed the first reading at the Senate. A statement by Director Corporate Affairs of Raw Materials Research and Development Council, Mr. Chuks Ngaha, said the bill, if passed into law, will chart the pathway to industrial growth and development in Nigeria. The draft legislative bill, sponsored by Senator Peter Nwebonyi, representing Ebonyi North, seeks to fortify Nigeria's local manufacturing sector, reduce dependency on imports, and ensure sustainable economic development through the promotion of local processing and value addition to the nation's raw materials resources. It also seeks to promote domestic processing while ensuring that no raw materials are exported from Nigeria without undergoing a minimum of 30% processing, thereby fostering value addition within the country. While in protection of local industries, the legislative bill seeks to prohibit the importation of raw materials that are available for local production, safeguard local manufacturers from unfair competition, and encourage the growth of the domestic industry. The bill stressed no raw materials shall be exported from Nigeria without certification by the Council, confirming that the materials have undergone the required processing. While on imports prohibition, the bill indicates that no raw materials that can be processed or produced locally shall be imported into Nigeria, and that the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment, in consultation with RMRDC, shall comply with compile and maintain a list of raw materials that are locally available for local production, and the exercise shall be subject to periodic review. Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, has expressed the need for the integration of intermodal transportation to unlock the potential of the country's maritime sector. Oyetola, who disclosed these at the maiden edition of Nigeria's Transport Summit, organized by the Transportation Correspondents Association of Nigeria in Lagos, and represented at the event by Mr. Yusuf Mohammed, the Director of General Service, Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, said streamlining transport modes was key to optimizing movement of goods and services. According to him, linking of the ports with roads, rails and inland waterways was key to optimizing the movement of goods and enhancing trade, adding that the ministry had embarked on several initiatives aimed at unlocking the vast potential of the nation's marine resources. He also said the strategy was validated with the support and collaboration of the Inter-African Bureau for Animal Resources and the Kingdom of Norway. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has advised President Bola Tinubu to stop the use of weapons by the Department of State Services and other security agencies in the country and focus on ways to revive the national economic hardship. Serap said the free expression of fundamental human rights is significant and should not be suppressed, accusing the Tinubu-led government of threats of baseless lawsuits against human rights defenders, activists, journalists, and other citizens. A statement signed by Serap's Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadari, the organization urged Tinubu to direct the Department of State Services to immediately withdraw the baseless defamation lawsuits brought by the proxies against the organization and management staff, adding that it is wrong for security agencies to intimidate, harass, and silence human rights defenders, activists, journalists, and other civil society actors, which will weaken representative democracy, deepen impunity, and undermine the rule of law. This is coming after, on September 9, officials of the DSS reportedly invaded Serap's Abuja office, barely 24 hours after the organization urged Tinubu to leverage his leadership and authority to instruct the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to promptly reverse the hike in the pump price of premium motor spirit, commonly known as petrol, as its retail outlets and the security outfit said its agents were detailed for a routine investigation, adding that the officer's actions had been misinterpreted as harassment and intimidation. Serap equally urged the federal government to embrace the rule of law, which will in turn entail respect for the human rights of Nigerians, adding that where there is a culture of rule of law, there is likely to be less corruption. Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment has inaugurated the Nigerian Exports Promotion Council's Export Skills Acquisition Center in Apapa, local Lagos, to empower women and youths. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka Anite, described the center as a key step in empowering Nigerian youth and women through skills acquisition in bag making and other accessories, adding that the ESAC initiative aligned with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, aimed at job creation and poverty alleviation, stressing that the center is driven by the commitment to addressing fundamental challenges hindering exports growth and economic diversification. The minister also said Africa's population is expected to double by 2050, with over a third of the world's youth residing on the continent, and coupled with the opportunities provided by the African Continental Free Trade Area and the increasing demand for made-in-Africa fashion, the ESAC reflected the importance of equipping Nigerians with the skills to tap into global markets. The minister said Africa's fashion industry, worth $31 billion, accounts for just 1.2% of the global fashion market, valued at $2.5 trillion. And the center will offer specialized training in product development, quality control, and digital skills to ensure the products meet international standards. Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission has expressed the need for the reduction in the number of economically unviable airports built by state governors in the country, stressing that proper infrastructure planning will reduce duplication of such projects. The ICRC Director General, Dr. Jobson Ewalefo, who disclosed this as the second Joint Public-Private Partnership Units Consultative Forum on the theme, Using PPP to Actualize the Renewed Hope Agenda in Nigeria's Infrastructure Delivery, brought together stakeholders from various sectors to discuss strategies for infrastructure development. This is coming after 6 state governments, including Ekiti, Ebonyi, Jigawa, Yobe, Nasarawa and Bayelsa, spent about 160 billion naira on airports projects that opposition politicians and aviation professionals classified as unviable. Apart from the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport Abuja, and Port Harcourt International Airport, Port Harcourt, River State, that generate about 80% of revenues for the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, while other airports constitute a financial burden to FAN. To resolve the issue, the ICRC DG said proper national planning via project integration and collaboration with subnationals would eliminate the proliferation of unviable economic projects, and reiterated the importance of sharing experiences and overcoming challenges to drive economic growth. While against this backdrop, the Nigerian Governors Forum also canvassed for broad adoption of public-private partnerships, particularly at subnational levels, to deliver critical infrastructure that can drive economic growth and improve citizens' quality of life. The chairman of the NGF, Abdul Razak Abdul Rahman, said PPP was vital for bridging Nigeria's significant infrastructure gaps, while highlighting the role of infrastructure as a cornerstone for economic development, stating that PPP offers innovative solutions for delivering essential projects efficiently. Central Bank of Nigeria released $547.7 million at the official exchange rate of 1,503.3 per dollar as of June 30, 2024 to Nigerians for the importation of food items in the second quarter of 2024. The amount is a reduction of $142.48 million at 20.6% from $689.88 million recorded in the first 3 months of 2024, and 80.76 billion naira, or 8.93% from 903.95 billion naira recorded in first quarter when converted to naira. This implies that the CBN released a total of 1.7 trillion naira for food items importation in 6 months, according to data from the bank's quarterly statistics bulletin. This came after the federal government's plan to reduce the price of food commodities through the implementation of zero duty on selected basic food items is increasingly becoming difficult to achieve, and challenge is underscored by the alarming increase in the average price of imported food items, which rose to 878.3 price points index in September 2024. Reflecting border economic pressures, on July 8, 2024, the federal government announced a 150-day duty-free import window for food commodities to ensure a reduction in food inflation in Nigeria. The food commodities include maize, husked brown rice, wheat and cowpeas, and the program was meant to help cushion the effects of various factors contributing to food scarcity and price hikes in the country. Federal government spent about $2.38 million on foreign healthcare related services from January to June 2024. A report from the Central Bank of Nigeria on the amount spent on health-related and social services under the sectoral utilization of foreign exchange said. Breaking down of the report showed that $2.3 million was spent in January, adding that the amount spent on foreign healthcare related services in the first half of the year was more than that spent in the second half of 2023 from July to December, which was at $0.69 million. The developments showed an increase of $1.69 million of the amount spent from January to June in this year compared to the figure for the first half of 2023, which was $3.13 million, while President Bola Tinubu inaugurated the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, a healthcare expansion program through which 120,000 frontline health workers would be retrained, and the move would reverse the trend of outbound medical tourism. Commenting on the medical tourism spending, a professor of public health at the University of Ilorin, Kwara State, and former national chairman of the Association of Public Physicians of Nigeria, Tanimola Akande, said the reported increase in medical tourism costs, as reported by the CBN, was an indication that so much money in hard currency was still being spent to seek medical care outside the country. Foreign investors sold off about 355.74 billion naira worth of stocks on the Nigerian Exchange Limited in the first 8 months of 2024, according to the August Domestic and Foreign Portfolio Investment reported of Nigerian Exchange Limited. Foreign outflows from the market exceeded inflows by about 56.01 billion naira for the period under review. Total foreign transactions stood at 655.47 billion naira, which was about 194.22% higher than the 222.78 billion naira recorded for the same period last year. Speaking on the trend, a long-time stockbroker, David Andori, said this unstable naira and high interest rate environment were making investors abandon the equity market, which also causes financial assets to migrate away from the capital markets. Analysts at Meristem Research described the exit of investors as a capital flight prompted by the unstable naira after the Central Bank of Nigeria raised the benchmark interest rates 5 times this year, hiking it by 50 basis points to 27.25% in September. The Nigerian capital market has been dominated by domestic investors since the COVID-19 pandemic, which saw the exit of foreign investors, while the domestic and foreign investors cut their investment in the equity market in August. President of African Development Bank Group, Mr. Akinwumi Adesina, says the major challenge facing Nigeria's manufacturing industries was the high cost and unreliability of electricity supply. The AFDB boss said load shedding and the inconsistent availability of electricity had resulted in high and uncompetitive manufacturing costs, adding that most Nigerian manufacturing companies are providing their own energy with a high dependence on generators, diesel and heavy fuel oil. He quoted the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria as saying that industry spent 93.1 billion naira on alternative energy in 2018, adding that today no business can survive in Nigeria without generators, and it was a situation that called for government attention to boost the country's economy. Highlighting AFDB's contributions, Adesina said that the bank had invested massively in the power sector to support the implementation of Nigeria's power sector recovery program by providing $200 million for the Nigerian electrification project. Reflecting on Nigeria's 64th journey after independence, the AFDB boss said being the largest bank nation on earth, Nigeria should carry the hopes and aspirations of all black people in the world yearning to become a beacon in the world. I think that Nigeria needed to develop faster for Africa to develop and should not remain a disappointment to the African continent. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu says private entities will need up to 750 naira to generate 1 kilowatt per hour of electricity because of the high cost of petrol. Adelabu said power generation will cost 950 naira per kilowatt per hour for those using diesel-powered engines, and argued they are more expensive than the 290 naira kilometer per hour being paid by Band A customers. Speaking at a recent function in Lagos, the minister said though customers were kicking against the Band A tariff, they knew it was still cheaper compared to generating their own power with petrol or diesel, adding that the increase in revenue in the power contribution companies the customer by the media, saying it was just a relocation of resources from fuel. The minister recalls that in 2023, a revenue of 1 trillion naira was made in the power sector, while 16.5 trillion naira was spent in procuring petrol and diesel to run power generators. He called on electricity consumers to support the discourse to sustain the present reforms in the sector to prevent going back to fuel generators. We are open for adverts, placements, bookings and commercials, and you can connect with us and watch us on Atn Socials, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network. Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1, X formerly Twitter at Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website at atlanticnetwork.tv. Price of liquefied petroleum gas known as cooking gas has skyrocketed from 700 naira per kg in June 2023, around when President Bola Tinubu assumed office, to 1,500 naira per kilo in October 2024. This represents about 114% increase within the 16 months, while the increase in LPG is connected to the rising exchange rate as the product is priced in dollars. Speaking at the just concluded National Conference of the Nigerian Association of Liquefied Petroleum Gas Marketers 2024 held in Lagos, Kumar revealed that local production of LPG remains inadequate, urging the federal government to encourage Chevron to convert more of its propane output into propane. The Executive Director and Chief Financial Officer of Harris Energies, Samuel Nwaze, also said Nigeria needs $7.5 billion to achieve clean cooking by 2030. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll take on the rest of the news. Just stay with us.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Many thanks for staying with us, and now to the rest of our stories. Standards Organization of Nigeria has called on Nigerians to use only certified compressed natural gas refueling stations to ensure safety following a recent cylinder explosion at NIPCO's CNG refueling station in Benin City, Edo State. A statement by the Director General of SON, Dr. Ifeanyi Okeke, stressed the importance of adhering to standards to protect lives and property, and promised not to allow unscrupulous individuals undermine President Bola Tinubu's initiative. He said SON would not tolerate any violations of the laid down standards, guidelines and procedures governing the CNG conversion sector, while the preliminary investigations into the Benin explosion revealed that the cylinder used at the station did not meet approved CNG standards, failing to live to the federal government's initiative, which aims to drive economic growth by facilitating the efficient movement of people, goods and services. SON has developed 88 standards to regulate the sector, attract investors, and guarantee quality service delivery, adding that all CNG equipment and conversion kits must conform to the standards before being certified for public use. He also highlighted on the structural differences between liquefied petroleum gas and CNG cylinders, warning that LPG cylinders are not suitable for CNG containment due to their lower pressure capacity and different construction, and it is working with the presidential initiative on CNG to finalize the Nigerian gas vehicle monitoring system to strengthen monitoring. Federal government is discussing with the World Bank the possibility of securing a $500 million loan to support basic education. This is coming to the program information documents for the loan project obtained that the loan is part of the World Bank's Hope for Quality Basic Education for All initiative, which aims to improve learning outcomes and address the challenges of out-of-school children. The project is a key component of Nigeria's efforts to reform its struggling education sector, and the federal government is expected to receive formal approval by March 2025. And program information documents reveal that the total cost of the operation is $554 million, will be sourced from the Global Partnership for Education grants. The project aligns with the Universal Basic Education Framework, focusing on expanding access to early childhood education and primary and junior secondary schooling. And the UBE program addresses Nigeria's critical educational deficits, including the alarming statistics that 17.1 million children aged 5 to 14 are out of school, and will also tackle disparities in enrollment, with northern regions lagging behind their southern counterparts. Under the financing structure, the Federal Ministry of Finance will lead the implementation in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Education and the Universal Basic Education Commission, while the World Bank loan will primarily be deployed to improve teaching quality through training, support community-based schools, and provide grants for better management and infrastructure. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has arrested two businessmen identified as Ihejirika Emmanuel and Iwagu Victory over alleged drug trafficking. Ihejirika, who frequently travels to Thailand claiming to import fish into Nigeria, was arrested on October 15, 2024, while attempting to board an Ethiopian Airlines flight to Thailand via Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. A statement by the agency spokesperson Femi Babafemi on Sunday said when Ihejirika was taken for a body scan, the results showed he had ingested illicit drugs, which were later confirmed to be cocaine, while Victory was arrested at the Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, after arriving from Brazil via Addis Ababa during the inward clearance of passengers on an Ethiopian airline flight. He said the body scan conducted on the 26-year-old businessman revealed that he had ingested drugs, adding that he subsequently excreted a pellet of cocaine weighing 22 grams, while a Nigerian-Canadian nurse identified as Usman Grace Khadijat Olami was arrested on October 4 by Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency officers at Lagos airports during the inward clearance of Air France passengers arriving from Toronto, Canada via Paris. During a search for her luggage, Babafemi said a total of 70 parcels of Canadian loud weighing 35.70 kilograms were recovered from her. MoneyPoint has over 45.39% of Nigerians paying for medicines exclusively with digital channels, while 80% of Nigerian pharmacies pay their suppliers digitally, underscoring the growing reliance on payments channels for many businesses and Nigerians. The payments company disclosed that this is due to the inconvenience of looking for change when someone pays with cash and the cash crunch crisis of 2023, which reduced the number of people who exclusively paid in cash. It's noted that digital payments like POS and bank transfers are currently the dominant methods for receiving customers' payments at pharmacies. According to data from the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, cashless transactions rose by 45.41% year-on-year to 39.58 trillion in January 2023 because of the scarcity of physical naira prompted many to adopt digital channels, while by the end of the year, cashless transactions had peaked at over 600 trillion naira from 395.38 trillion naira in 2022 as more Nigerians embrace digital payments channels. According to the Association of Community Pharmacists, almost 500,000 people pay for something at pharmacies daily, while MoneyPoint revealed that only 7.69% of customers prefer to pay pharmacies exclusively with cash, and 45.39% of customers pay digitally, with 46.92% favoring a mix of cash and digital payments methods. According to MoneyPoint's reports, digital health in Nigeria is set to reach a revenue volume of over $1.3 billion by 2025, with a 22.31% annual growth rate achievable in innovation in frontline healthcare. At the just concluded 30th Nigerian Economic Summit in Abuja, stakeholders from the public and private sectors convened to assess the current frameworks that managed public-private transitions and discuss mechanisms to build awareness, trust and confidence in the strong regulatory architecture that is in place. Opening the session, Lagos Business School expert, Professor of Corporate Governance, Fabian Ajogu, SAN, said Nigeria's approach to regulating public-private transitions involves a combination of sector-specific guidelines, industry codes, and overarching governance guidelines, such as the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance. He said the regulations establish cooling-off periods for individuals transitioning from regulatory roles to private sector positions, and the code mandates a 3-year cooling-off period before such individuals can assume roles as directors or senior managers in organizations that they once regulated. Stakeholders at the workshop recognized that Nigeria's requirements for a 3-year cooling-off period exceeds current global best practice, with standards in Europe averaging 2 years or less, while participants comprising CEOs, board chairmen and company secretariats were keen to emphasize the need for flexibility. Preventing the universal application of 3-year period for all transitions, particularly in situations where the public sector transition is from a regulator not directly overseeing the private sector, company or its sector. The lead discussant and Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Emomotimi Agama, said public-private transitions are not merely desirable, they are essential for promoting collaboration and innovation, stressing that the exchange of knowledge and expertise between the sectors can greatly enhance their respective capabilities, contributing to a dynamic and resilient economy. Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources and stakeholders in the oil and gas sector have raised concerns about the need to implement the 2021 Petroleum Industry Act for economic growth. Nicholas Ella, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, alongside other stakeholders, made the call to one-day stakeholders engagement on harnessing the Petroleum Industry Act as a catalyst for investment in Nigeria's oil and gas sector in Abuja. Represented by Mohammed Abubakar, Director Midstream and Downstream, Ella recalled the enactment of the PIA in 2021, which aimed to promote efficiency, boost transparency, and enhance sustainable practices, and also marks a new chapter for investors, providing clarity and stability in fiscal regimes which are essential for fostering both local and international investment. According to him, with the PIA, Nigeria is ready to lead Africa in energy investment, attract global capital, and maintain its pivotal role in the international energy arena. Ahmed Galadima, Executive Secretary of the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, also said they had engaged in human capacity development research and development for technological innovations and institutional development to support energy transition. represented by Mohammed Abdulrahman, Deputy General Manager, Education and Training Department. Galadima said PTDF was committed to aligning its strategies with the key drivers of the PIA to enhance local participation and will ensure that Nigeria benefits fully from its hydrocarbon wealth and the government's efforts in energy transition. Ongoing tax reform process being embarked upon by the federal government is set to prioritize local manufacturers, small and medium-scale enterprises, and the most vulnerable in the society. Chairman of the Presidential Committee of Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, who disclosed these as the Fiscal and Monetary Reform session of the recently concluded 30th Nigerian Economic Summit in Abuja, said the policies will enable manufacturers and small business operators to grow the economy, thereby increasing tax revenues for the government. He said the deduction of tax at source, withholding regulations 2024 grants rates deduction and full exemption from withholding tax to small businesses with annual turnover not exceeding 25 million naira, among other benefits. Director General of MANS, Shegun Ajayi Kadir, said the settling up of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms is one of the high points of the Tinubu-led administration, adding that the President will need greater political courage to implement the recommendations fully. According to data and industry executives, oil and gas companies are preparing to spend 60% more on fossil fuel exploration. This is coming after an analysis at Wood Mackenzie, a global oil sector consultancy, found that investments in oil and gas among the 23 biggest producers in the world are set to climb by over 60% by next year, compared to the trough of 2020 and the pandemic lockdowns. Analysts say large oil companies are reinvesting as much as 50% of their income on average, and individual companies are returning between 35% and 60% to the shareholders in the form of dividends or share buybacks. The UK-based research and consultancy group also say there are outliers, as one or two companies with big development projects will invest up to 80% of cash flow and may require asset sales to support distributions, and the capital allocation fits within a conservative overall financial framework that includes target balance sheets gearing at or below 20%. The exploration is a long-term, high-risk business. Big-ticket offshore projects typically take 5 years to develop from discovery and at least another 10 years to return the initial investment, and it has proved more reliable for the energy majors than the very different business model of producing renewable energy, while the stream oil and gas have historically had returns of around 15% to 20%, while most renewables projects have delivered up to 8%. Africa's growth industry leaders brainstorm Africa's agricultural sector as set to create pathways to The summit, which is in its 7th edition, will hold in Abuja on November 11th, and it is themed Transitioning from Scarcity to Security, comes at a critical time Africa is grappling with unprecedented food inflation and supply chain disruptions. ASA 2024 will bring together delegates from 30 countries to craft actionable plans for transforming Africa's agricultural sector into a multi-trillion-dollar powerhouse. The summit's agenda is meticulously crafted to address the most pressing issues facing African agriculture today. Also, ASA 2024 will feature its first ever all-women panel on empowering women in agriculture, recognizing the pivotal role women play in the continent's food system. Vice President Shetima is expected to unveil Nigeria's ambitious plan for agricultural transformation, while Dr. Kale will provide crucial economic insights on leveraging financial instruments to boost agricultural productivity in the face of rising inflation and building on the success of previous editions. ASA 2024 will offer enhanced opportunities for networking, knowledge sharing, and deal making. Key focus areas include sustainable farming practices, agri-tech, innovations, value chain optimization, and innovative financing mechanisms. National Information Technology Development Agency has outlined Nigeria's twofold approach to the adoption of artificial intelligence. Kashifu Inua, the agency's Director General, disclosed these at Technovate Fest 2024, which was themed AI for Africa, addressing continental challenges and driving sustainable innovations. Inua said NITDA's role is to promote the adoption of AI and ensure its responsible and ethical use across sectors, adding that it is developing regulatory frameworks to ensure that AI development adheres to ethical standards, with guarantees of transparency, data privacy, and cybersecurity. He said ethical considerations must be considered as AI adoption accelerates globally, while actively developing policies to address bias in AI systems and ensure that AI technologies serve all Nigerians equitably to promote a sustainable and inclusive digital future. According to the DG, AI can potentially become the driving force behind Africa's digital renaissance, adding that the emerging technology, could solve some of the continent's most pressing socio-economic challenges and catalyze sustainable development. The DG believes that AI is not just another technology, but is a paradigm shift that promises to reshape every aspect of society. And AI is expected to add $2.9 trillion to Africa's gross domestic product by 2030. And Nigeria's AI market is projected to reach $434.4 million by 2026. TikTok owner ByteDance says it has sacked an intern for maliciously interfering with the training of one of its artificial intelligence models, and the firm rejected claims about the extent of the damage caused by the unnamed individual, saying they contained some exaggerations and inaccuracies. The Chinese technology giants Duabao ChatGPT, like generative AI model, is the country's most popular AI chatbot, said. The social media profile and some media reports contain inaccuracies, while its commercial online operations, including its large language AI models, were unaffected by the intern's actions. ByteDance also denied reports that the incident caused more than $10 million of damage by disrupting an AI training system made up of thousands of powerful graphics processing units, while in August, he said it had informed the intern's university and industry bodies about the incident. ByteDance operates some of the world's most popular social media apps, including TikTok and its Chinese equivalent Douyin, and it is widely seen as a leader when it comes to algorithm development due to how appealing its apps are to users. It also uses the technology to power its Duabao chatbot as well as many other applications, including a text-to-video tool called Jimeng. This is where we wrap it up on this edition of ATN Business on Atlantic Television Network in the city of Port Harcourt. I am Victor Peter. Many thanks for watching. We are open for adverts, placements, bookings and commercials. Stay connected on ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network. Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1. X formerly Twitter at Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching.
From the lands across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains,